Is it possible to be completely incapable of being a pagan or a heathen? That's this week's topic on Pagan Perspective. My name's Kara, I'm your host for Tuesdays. This week's topic is about whether or not we think it's possible for someone to just completely lack any ability to be a pagan or a heathen. The exact topic is in the description so you can read what the questioner wrote, but some of the specific examples they gave were things like core practices or things that some pagans do that a lot of people just can't do. And is it possible for someone to just not be able to do any of the things that are commonly associated with being a pagan? So on the one hand, I think that it's kind of true that someone could be incapable of being a pagan or a heathen, but in that case I think it's because they would be something other than a pagan or a heathen. For example, someone might completely lack any kind of belief system that has to do with paganism, but in that case I think they still have a belief system, or they have a non-belief system, as the case may be, which would just make them a member of a non-pagan faith, or a member of a non-faith group. So in that sense, yes, I think it's possible that some people just don't jive with the whole pagan-heathen vibe. But as far as someone who is wanting to follow a pagan or heathen path, no, I don't really think it's possible for someone to be completely incapable of that, because a lot of the things that were mentioned in the topic, a lot of those individual things such as seeing auras and reading tarot and working with runes and things like that, those are just practices that a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't do them as well, and those don't have anything to do specifically with belief or living as a pagan or a heathen. For example, I always think it's ridiculous when I see someone online reveal that they are a witch or Wiccan or some kind of pagan, and then immediately the next response that someone else makes is like, oh cool, so can you read my cards? And I'm like, why are you automatically assuming that just because this person is a witch or a pagan or whatever they are, why do you automatically assume that they read cards? Yes, a lot of us do, or a lot of us want to learn how to, because it is kind of considered, I don't know, it's a thing within the realm of like what we're interested in, but why do you assume that everyone can do that? That's not the case. Or seeing auras. Not all of us can see auras. And I actually know a lot of pagans and heathens who can't see or read auras, and I know a lot of people who can see auras who are not pagan. So I see where the questioner is coming from. I do think that there's a group of things that people associate with being a witch or being a heathen or being a pagan. So I get that. I get why you feel like, oh, there's all these things that are associated with it, and what if I can't do any of those things? But that doesn't mean that you're automatically incapable of being pagan or heathen, because in reality, a lot of us can't or don't like to do those things. And as I said, there are people from non-pagan paths who do and can and will do those things. So from my end, I think it's just a matter of differentiating what are really core beliefs and practices of whatever branch of paganism or heathenry you are following, because they would not all have the same core beliefs and practices, and what kinds of things are just practices and beliefs that we happen to all have in common, but that we also have in common with people from outside the pagan community as well. There certainly are things that tie us all together as pagans. There are things that tie each individual tradition or branch type of paganism together, but I don't think that those core beliefs are necessarily overlapped with all those individual practices that don't necessarily stem from a specific belief. So similarly to what I said in the beginning, whereas I think that it's possible for someone to lack any kind of pagan belief and therefore they would be a non-pagan, I think it's possible for someone to, for example, lack any kind of belief that would make them a part of a certain pagan group. Sure, because we all find our own path, we all agree and disagree with pieces and parts of other paths, and I'm sure there are some that we just don't really connect with any part of, and for us that we're incapable of or unwilling to match any of the core beliefs of that particular path. But there's such a wide variety of what is considered pagan or heathen that it's hard to say that there are core beliefs of the entire group. The Higginbothams in their book Paganism did attempt to talk about and discuss and illustrate things that they found were common between most pagans as a whole, when I asked my viewers about it on my personal channel a while ago, a couple years ago, I had some pagans who said, yeah, I agree with most of those, but even they said there's a couple of those things that they didn't agree with. So yes, I think it's possible to lack beliefs that are core to certain paths, but I think it would be very difficult to find someone who identified as a pagan or was part of the pagan umbrella who completely lacks any of the beliefs or practices that match it. Because if you did, you'd be a non-pagan, is all. And so I guess really what I'm trying to say is that if you're a person who identifies with the pagan or heathen community, and there's something about that that calls to you, there's something already within your beliefs and your worldview that matches that. I think it's pretty unlikely that you would be in the non-pagan realm, if that makes sense. But I don't know. Of course, every individual is different. I can't speak for everyone. So just kind of my thoughts on the situation from a very general stance, I guess. But no, so if you are considering yourself a member of the community and you're thinking, man, you know, I can't see auras, I can't read tarot, I can't do any of this stuff, I don't understand runes, I don't know any magical alphabets, fear not. We don't all automatically gain knowledge of those things when we start to follow a pagan path. Sure, you can learn, sure you can study it. Not everyone can do it, not everyone wants to do it. And I don't think we should assume that we all can. Well, that's my video for this week, guys. I'm sorry that it was so late. I had a really busy day. I just got back from rehearsal and I need to make something to eat and upload this for you. So I will see you next week. Until then, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.